Hello and welcome to this video. This is a reaction video to Jubilee. And the video that I'm reacting to is should we cancel celebrities for their crimes? Of course, they're not always actual crimes. Although debatable that might just be because maybe the law isn't strong enough. But anyway, basically that's the video. All those things. So yeah. Now let's go ahead and let's dive in, I guess. You know, should we dive in? Why not?
What's up, guys? This idea started at the office when I was talking about Kanye. I love him, and you hate Kanye. So we were like, we should do a cancel culture.
I don't know. The thing is, this video was made a while back. Like a while back, Like we're talking a good long ago. Over 3 years ago. So like, I think maybe they might have changed their opinions on Kanye since then. Hopefully they have, because when someone starts spreading anti-Semitic stuff, it's like I think at that point maybe don't support them, because as someone inches closer and closer to becoming a Nazi, you think Goebbels would love this. So maybe don't don't let don't love the person who's spreading like anti-Semitic propaganda.
Culture middle ground.
Yeah, we thought it was really important to bring other topics like pop culture to middle ground. So let us know in the comments below what you want us to talk about.
As always, enjoy the episode.
R. Kelly, bye. I'm done with you. Get out of here.
But that's in your opinion. I'm not saying I'm.
That's the problem with saying that it's opinion. It's like, is that morally wrong or not? As in, if I did that, would you be friends with me? Would you support me? If I was a no-name person, would you platform me? Would you say, you know what, I have the power to give you hundreds of thousands, millions of subscribers, millions of followers, I'm going to give it to you? Is that what you do? If that was the kind of thing I did? No, you shouldn't. Shouldn't platform people who are bad. So just because someone is famous, why exactly should you continue to platform them just because they had the popularity before they said this stuff, or before it was discovered they said this stuff? You know what I mean? It's just problematic in that sense.
I'm for R. Kelly.
I just think if you support him, you're a dick, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't use that phrase, but
Yeah. I mean,
And then it's their right to be a dick.
If you supported Hitler, yes, you are a moron, but you're also supporting a genocidal maniac who was so, like, evil that he was willing to risk losing the war to play games, apparently. Of course, the problem with that is that cost millions of people their lives. So I'm just saying, if you support that person, yeah, you're a more, but also, you're more than that, though. Like, you're more than that. Anyway, so.
Right?
Yeah. I mean,
And then it's their right to be a dick.
Okay, wait. We brought pro and anti-cancel culture individuals together to spark dialogue about their differences and similarities. I don't think cancel culture is really a thing when it comes to celebrities. It obviously is when it comes to ordinary people. I've told the story a lot. The story of basically this person who was, they were an ordinary citizen, nobody knew about them, but then the news broadcast something about them, and their life was destroyed because there was no oh, I like that person, there was no fans of theirs. There was nothing to combat the idea of them as a bad person, now, do you think, keep in mind they were accused of sexual assault, so do you think they deserve that? I would say yes, except of course they weren't guilty. Well, I should say they weren't considered. They're not officially guilty. There wasn't enough evidence to say that they're guilty, and that was sort of the point. So basically, just that sort of thing. Like, I don't think it really works for celebrities, because if they're well liked enough, then they're a celebrity, clearly they weren't liked enough, in which case, no, they're gonna have outright fans. And if not, then what are you saying? Like, you're just saying, okay, so everyone deserted them when they found out what they were like? Is that cancel culture? Is that just the news reporting on what someone did, and then everyone going, oh, I actually, that's terrible. I don't actually think I should be supporting that person. That's individual choices, just collectively meaning the person. It really works for celebrities. This is what they're mostly talking about. So, bullshit, basically. Stand off. Okay.
Hello, my name is Adib Kadir. I have a computer science degree and I'm a product manager in the tech industry.
Hi, I'm Will Court. I'm a music student at USC.
Hi, I'm Joy Villa. I'm a singer-songwriter, and I'm anti-cancel culture.
Oh, I think I know why that might be. Have you done anything have you done anything or planning on doing something like really evil? You know, that might be the case because.
Hi, I'm Joy Villa. I'm a singer-songwriter, and I'm anti-cancel culture.
Yeah, that would make sense because you're afraid of losing your contract for doing something really evil.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Riebling. I'm a consumer insights specialist, and I'm
Interesting job.
pro-ish cancel culture. More on this side, but
I
I'm looking forward
wouldn't
to this
say I'm like
conversation.
pro.
Hi, I'm Seth
I
Fowler.
don't believe it's a thing. Like, I think people should be punished for their actions as long as those actions are, bad. But like this idea of like, well, you have this idea of like, oh, on an individual case by case basis, and that's really attitude. Saying you're anti something, you're anti this. It's like, okay, well, what happens if someone is like borderline going to prison? Like they're not going to prison, but they're just on the line. Like they knew what the line was, so they purposely went right up to it, and they just didn't go just beyond it. So they're not going to get in any legal trouble, but they're very close to that line. Morally speaking, in like 90% of cases, probably more, if someone is just like they haven't crossed the line. Morally speaking, they should still be, they still did a bad thing. Some cases, not so much, but.
Law school graduate and teacher. I am pro cancel culture.
Hi, my name is Alana. I am a student, a history student, and I'm pro cancel culture.
Makes sense if you're a history student that you'd realize, maybe we'd looking at history. It's like, yeah, I mean, all those times when Hitler was making those speeches, maybe if we had a system, we could have said maybe don't keep saying all that racist stuff, and then we could not have like platformed him. We could have done that, but we didn't. So that's how we got the genocide of millions of people and the deaths of over 40 million people. Great. That's what your anti-cancel culture has led to. I'm not actually saying that. I'm pretty sure, they would have found somebody who would have stuck. Although, I mean, in fairness, like the Communist Party was like neck and neck with them enough. So like, had you wrong a few more bullets into the Nazi Party, you don't know. The Communist Party could have been the successors out of the elections, and then they wouldn't have been banned and all that sort of stuff. So yeah.
And I have my pro-cancel culture to the left and my anti-cancel culture to the right.
Okay.
I would buy an artist's work even if they committed a violent.
Depends what you mean. If they committed a violent crime and they were pushed into it, or there was people there, or if they got joy out of it. If they got joy out of it, that was something that gave them joy, and they had no remorse. Like they actually thought that was okay. Not that wasn't a bad thing, but that was, good for them. So, kind of like selfishness, if you know what I mean. Not like, the person that was a thief who was attacking someone and trying to take their valuables. So that's why I bludgeoned them almost to death. Like if you said that, oh yeah, I mean, you could say, well, yeah, I mean, there's arguments of like, well, is that morally okay? Some people are like, no, because while that person was doing something mean and stuff, they weren't necessarily causing violence, so you didn't need to react with violence, although you did to stop the thieving. So that it all depends on what you mean by violent crime.
Oh, that's so hard.
that's so hard. I guess so. That's the point. It's like you just say case by case basis. So then you could just like, well, no, you could say no. I would say you should say yes because it's like a case by case basis, but definitely in some cases.
Humans are a series of impulses on a spectrum of time. Like, we are constantly changing, we're constantly evolving. Have any of you ever, honestly, never not told a lie in your life?
Of course, we've all lied.
So are you a liar today?
No, not today.
So that
You are though.
moment that you told a lie, you can't be blanketed as a liar the rest of your
You can though. You know. People call you a serial liar if you told a lot of lies, and you're probably lying all the time. You know, like for example, Tommy Tallarico, is known as a serial liar in the industry because he's lied about so much, like that sort of thing. Like that's someone who's a serial liar. You almost know for sure they're lying, even when it makes no sense. That kind of thing.
rest of your life. I think the issue with cancel culture is it's kind of like this, like you have a cut on your arm, let's just chop the whole arm off.
No, it's like there's a rat in your kitchen. You kill the rat so that you don't die because you've got all these rats. Also, guess what happens if you don't kill the animal there that can kill you? It will breed and it will spread because that's how, the kitchen works. You keep your kitchen nice and clean, you keep it sanitized, you ensure that if there is bacteria, you keep it to a minimum. Obviously, you're not going to eradicate the bacteria, that's never going to happen, but you keep it down to a minimum. You definitely don't give it some grow. You don't just go, oh, I've got this thing that helps bacteria become more impervious and actually lets it grow more. Let's spray it on the bacteria. No, you don't do that. That's the problem, of course, with cancel culture. This idea of, oh, it's cancel culture. No, it's not cancel culture. You're saying you don't want to platform that bacteria. You don't want to platform that piece of shit. Well, why exactly are you cancelling them? Can I ask you, if you're a celebrity and you're brought down to my level of popularity, is that you being cancelled? I haven't been cancelled as of the making of this video. No one has gone out and said, let's cancel Sriak. No one said that. I'm this popular because I've never been more popular. This is most likely the most popular I've ever been. You know what I mean? But I'm still not very popular. So if you're brought down to my level, that's not you really being cancelled. Because you are at the same level as someone who's never been cancelled. The whole idea of cancellation is that you're gone. That's it, you're done. But with this, you're not done. You just lost a lot of support. So don't talk nonsense.
When you bring up the amount of people that work on some of these projects, like think of like a Harvey Weinstein movie, right? He did terrible things. I wouldn't want to support Harvey Weinstein. But most of his victims are people that were in his movies. By not supporting a Harvey Weinstein movie, you're also not supporting his victims.
I mean, I guess. But also, Harvey Weinstein was like a director, right? I'm not sure. And like, some directors do a lot, but a lot of the time it's writers. Although, I mean, directors actually do directors often do a lot, but I'm guessing because of how wealthy he was and how successful he was, that he actually did fuck all. Generally, that is the case. The more successful you are, the less likely you are to actually do work, because the less likely someone is to go, well, do some work, Harvey. What the fuck are you doing? You're going about doing disgusting acts upon the people you've got power over, but then you're not using the power you have to actually make a fucking movie. You've got underlings who are doing that. So what is your position here? Oh, because you bring in the viewers. Do you though? I'm not sure. Do you? I think it's more that you just know people in the industry. You know the producers. You know the executive producers. You know the people who run the studios. That's your position. That's the reason why you're a successful director. Not because of any skills. Because at the end of the day, most of the most successful directors actually do very little. Now, I'm not saying all of them. I'm just saying a lot of them know and do fairly little. I'm not saying they're lazy about the place. I'm just saying like they're not putting in as much of the actual direction. They're just there, and it is still work just isn't as much work as smaller directors. For example, I've done reviews for like smaller shows on my other channel, like Create and Review, and I've done reviews for small shows. In those cases, directors actually did do a lot of work. Like Wrecked, there was the workers did there. Freelancers actually don't know about that. There was that they're more of a troupe, so I guess I don't know about that. But that sort of thing. Those were directors that you did who actually put work in, and you can see they put work in. But with this, it's like, well, I don't know exactly if it counts, because it's like, well, did he actually do anything in the movie? But also, the movies he had were the things that gave him power.
So it's kind of like you're in a weird spot, right?
But you can't bring down the.
In fairness, at least Harvey Weinstein is no longer like prolific director. Like if he was, it would make absolutely no sense to support him, because you would actively be platforming someone you'd actively be giving power to someone who is a predator. So I think that's the main difference here. Is the thing, like if you're looking at the likes of someone who hasn't had their power be taken away from them by listening to their stuff, by watching their movies, by watching their TV shows, what you're doing is you're handing them more power.
The kingpin without bringing down the organization that he built.
True. That's sort of the point. If Harvey Weinstein was still making movies, still making very successful movies, would you still support him then? You shouldn't, because what you're doing there is you're giving him power. Of course. Would you watch his previous movies that are no longer involved in? Does he get royalty checks, I wonder?
So he's said something very interesting to me about like the whole cutting off the arm and to fix a cut, and I feel like the exact
that makes no sense. Yeah.
Opposite, because when you talk about how like, oh, if you're canceling people, blah blah blah, and they have good inventions, it's like there's so many
intentions. Do you mean? Because I think if they got good inventions, it's just keep the inventions. It's like the thing they were like, people were like, oh, you can't tax billionaires because they'll just go away. It's like, if they try, take the money. It's very simple. If someone is if someone is going off, you just take it like.
Many smart people that aren't toxic. And it's like when you cancel someone that is toxic, it's sending the message to other toxic people, you cannot get away with this.
Here's how I think of it. Like, I have the right to stop this, and if other people want to do that also, and we bond together, like the power's in our hands, and I feel like for me, I'm doing my part by choosing not to like mess with that.
Yeah. Also, this is sort of the point of like this idea of like cancellations. Like you are in effect like this idea of cancellation, and it's sort of the point is if everyone abandons an artist, so no one buys their stuff, they have no source then to breathe off. Because are you going to give an artist a popular movie series? Are you going to make them director? Are you going to give someone the position of chief whip in the party if their position there actively harms the project? Most people would say in a business sense, no. And that's sort of the point. By consumers, and this is the issue of capitalism, consumers are forced to say, we will not buy this product if this person is involved. So obviously, one way around that people do is just make them involved in a less obvious way. That means you get protected by the industry, which is a problem. But sometimes people are just like, you know what, you're not, you don't know enough people to get that special treatment of having workarounds. Or maybe even the workarounds don't really work because the person keeps blabbing their mouth about the place. I don't know. The point is, at the end of the day, is that when that person goes, okay, so well, your stuff actually harms the sale of the product. Doesn't necessarily make it, not profitable, but it harms the sales. So before you were actually possibly getting a benefit, or there was a myth that you brought a benefit, but now we can see you're actively harming it. So we're gonna have to say, no, you can no longer work on this project, because if you do, you will harm the sales.
With that person anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you a question. Do you feel like you should be the one making the decision,
Or do you
But that's the point. You're individually making the decision, and then collectively, 1,000 views, 10,000 views, a million views, 100 million views, collectively making the decision to no longer buy from the artist, no longer watch their stuff. That hits home. You know? There was a comedian I liked, a lot, and they had an ad for like the FIFA World Cup, and you're like, this is morally speaking, I do not agree with this. Like, if FIFA or Qatar came to me and said, "Would you like we want to put a sponsor in one of your videos?" I would probably tell them to fuck off, because I do not want to be platforming people who run a slave trade and abuse women and non-straight people. I don't want to do that. I don't want to support those people, even if they are paying me. So, at the end of the day, if you have two options, if everyone collectively says we won't support you if you platform these people, or if everyone who has the ability to platform these people says no, we won't support you, then it destabilizes bad people. It means they can't get it. Of course, with something like the World Cup, obviously, there's still millions to be raked in, even if everyone does hate you.
Or do you feel like YouTube or Spotify should make the decision for you and take down people who they feel?
Okay, so your idea is, okay, so this is a fair enough idea. I would say, what happens about people who accidentally watch stuff? Like, I've gotten annoyed before because you're on YouTube and you accidentally click on a video and you're like, I don't want to support this person, And I know this might sound a bit petty, but like, I actively didn't want to click on that video because it was like, I don't like these people, that sort of thing. Like, I've looked in like I people who I am subscribed, people who reacted to, it's really, you get a conscience almost, because you look at their subscriptions, people they support, and like you got people like Gus Johnson, like what that man like actually abused people, they're still supporting them, I feel kind of conscious when I'm supporting them. I'm effectively supporting people who support that, and it's that kind of thing. So like, there's that where it's like, well, why not cut it off at the source? Also, the whole idea of like, well, I mean, with things like Spotify, people will come across them accidentally, you know, um, and especially with some people, you do get pulled into rabbit holes. You do get the situation where you get pulled into them, and then you watch their stuff because you like the music, and then suddenly you start becoming like them. You start becoming that homophobic person. You start becoming that anti-Semite. You start becoming that horrible person. You start becoming that fascist, and then that harms people. That harms society. It's serious, very serious. It is.
Feel like offended a certain segment of the population?
I think it's two separate things. Like, I think I should have the power to make that decision. Of course, that's a very personal thing for me. But
so their music should continue to be sold and available.
That depends. As well as that, if you continue to sell the music, but what happens if you buy too much of it and it doesn't sell? So now you've got shopkeepers who, possibly very small shops, have to cover the loss of possible thousands in lost sales. But the artist gets to get paid that. The company that backs that artist gets to get paid that. Why is that okay? Anyway.
Don't think so.
Just don't listen to it. Don't buy it. You yourself,
Yeah.
absolutely, every individual has the right to say, hey, I don't like this. And you can even tweet about it and say no. But then to start a boycott, that's why I don't do boycotts.
People have different morals.
Like, I personally have the right. I withhold the right. I think all of us do, to not.
Yeah, I think the whole point of a boycott is that you tell people, why don't we as a whole not buy this product? And by the way, this works for people who are really right wing as well. I remember when like Gillette made that ad, and then everyone was like, let's not buy Gillette stuff, and like, as well as that, there was like a coffee maker, right? Was it Nescafe, something like that? They did the same thing. It was an advertising thing. They intentionally riled up people so that they could get it trending, so they could get a bunch of far right people who were like misogynistic, and then get them to publicly have an outcry. And then what that would do is not only make it so that people who aren't misogynist kind of feel pressured into almost buying the product because, like, well, I don't want to appear to be like them, but also it would mean all the misogynists would go, oh wait, oh wait, now I don't have that product anymore because I destroyed it. Okay, that kind of thing. So basically, yeah, that's just my point. A boycott is just that way, but yeah.
Not go and support these people we don't believe in. I would never tell you, wait, I'm going to go see XYZ movie and you have to too. If you say no, you have that right. What can't
Yeah, but what happens if the XYZ movie used, like, Qatari money to make it? That's a bad thing, right? You think that action is morally incorrect, don't you? Like, if that wasn't from a famous person, as I've said before, if you have this action coming from a not famous person, before you didn't buy the products before, but now they're in the news because they're this random person who murdered a bunch of people, or attempted to kill someone, or used slave labor. Do you give them that choice? Do you give them that reward now? Now you don't know them before. Most people would say no, because it's just the only reason why you continue to do so is because you're a little fan of theirs, and you want to keep supporting them, But
cancel culture does is saying, I'm not going to see this person because I don't like this person and nobody else should either.
No, actually, what it is, and this is why I think it's completely false as a construct, is because it's everyone collectively deciding that person, we don't like that person. Them, no, fuck them. That's what you're saying. And then, because everyone has done it, it drops off. Because everyone does that, people who are, if you're a comedian or a musician, places go, oh sorry, we can't book you because you won't make enough sales. And now from time to time, you can have artificially inflated or artificially deflated appearances where comedians or musicians will lose a bunch of popularity, but it'll appear as if they haven't. So they'll get to still big venues, but they'll have a massive drop in actual people going to it. Or in some cases, it's inflated, and maybe they would have gotten enough people to fill those seats, but the people who run like studios and stuff were like, no, sorry, you aren't really big enough to suit our areas. So yeah, that's what happens, and this is sort of the point. It's not who is canceling them. Companies do not cut people out. If someone was literally a fascist and they were making billions for a corporation, they would keep them on. But if someone was making billions for a corporation and then showed they were a fascist, and then people started to go, oh, actually, I don't really like this. I think I'm going to cut my sport. Then that company is going to go, okay, we could possibly lose a lot of money by continuing to support them now, and then when those products get to the shelves and they don't get purchased, we will then have already paid them. So let's get ahead of the curve and cut them now before they cause millions, possibly even billions in damages.
Either, and that's why I hate it.
Cancel culture is out of control.
Once again, not really a thing, so.
Okay.
Oh, pretty everyone agrees.
Oh, wow. When it started, I think it was a good thing. It's like the Me.
Okay, so she's not gonna say Me Too. Please don't say she's gonna compare. Anyway, but when it started, okay, so she's anti it now.
Too movement, a good thing. But when you get the court of public opinion involved,
Okay, so she's comparing. Wait.
good thing. It's like the Me Too movement.
Okay, is she saying this? Is she honestly fucking saying this about the Me Too movement? Cause if your idea is it's gone too far and you're talking about the Me Too movement, just fuck off, okay? you are just a misogynist. Because, no, it clearly has gone fucking too far. Also, what does too far mean when it comes to equality? Like,
Good thing. But when you get the court of public opinion involved, I tell you, it becomes so horrible. I am an artist. I've legitimately hit #1 on Billboard. People
okay, then that's clearly why. She's kind of a pious person, isn't she?
think, oh, I don't run my social media. I absolutely do. I read comments, I respond.
Well, no, that depends. If you're of a particular size, and I've made a video on this before. I'm not sure if it's actually out yet, but I've made a video before on like celebrity YouTube, just a little discussion video. Just a quick video I made, basically discussing how it's kind of weird how you've got like celebrities who've who've got YouTube channels, and they're basically like fan channels, but they are the official YouTuber or the official celebrity rather, not they're not a YouTuber, and that's sort of the point. Generally, they're for bigger celebrities. It's an excuse for a manager to, get paid like loads of money.
On
More money
even
than they
negative
should. Way more money than they should.
ones. When people say, I hope you die, somebody should kill your family.
What the fuck? Once again, that may be a crime. I think that that may be a crime, or rather evidence of a crime. Like if ever you get in an accident that appears to be attempted murder, that person may be brought in for questioning because they might go, well, you threatened their life, and then suddenly their life was at risk. So, what's going on there?
You should get raped so that you have a baby illegitimately.
What?
You can. I mean, it is online bullying.
Cancel
It's called cyberbullying, but yeah.
culture, rationally, is overall a net positive, I think. But there are sects of cancel culture, like the toxic people that issue the death threats. And of course, those need to be
I mean, that does depend upon if the thing that they're suspected of doing is a crime that is punishable by the death penalty. Then those people are effectively arguing for what they would view as justice, but I wouldn't view it as justice. I think the death penalty should not be used in the majority of cases, and never in the case of murder, because I think that's a bad line to go down. When you start allowing the death penalty for just a crime in general, well, obviously specific crimes are obviously out of complete out of thing. Basically, the only time when it would be not okay would be if someone is actually innocent, and that's one of the main things with the death penalty. It's like if someone is innocent, and this is one of the things why you should never have the death penalty for murder. Never. Because it makes no sense. Also, the death penalty always brings in the whole issue of like, well, are you actually punishing the person then? Or are you just removing them? Like, where's the punishment then? The whole idea is that you punish them. You make sure they realize this is your punishment. You don't just go, Obviously, a lot of death row inmates are on. That's why they're on. They're they go to prison while they're prepared, and then they spend years upon years in prison, and it effectively becomes basically almost a life sentence at times. People die in prison who were always on the possibility of being killed, that sort of thing. Anyway, that gets off the point. My point is effectively that death threats not great. Unless you think the person would, or rather should, be arrested and actually be given the death penalty, then it makes very little sense that she, say they should be killed, or rather say you are going to kill them. Also the rape one, I think that one is a little bit that one is a little bit more outright. No, that's definitely not okay. Because that's not like that doesn't even matter what the actual person's actions were, because it doesn't matter what someone has done. I don't think they should be that should happen to them. Doesn't matter what they've done, because also certain people who are very very evil, you never know, they might even enjoy something like that. That's the thing. Like rape is one of the things that's like no. If you're trying to make that argument, that's dodgy.
excised. Cancel culture originated out of compassion, the voice for the voiceless, being able to vote with your wallet, make a stand,
Yeah.
your
not
little
necessarily vote
retweet,
with
your
your
little
wallet.
like, turning things viral that wouldn't get seen.
This is something that like strikes fear in my heart right now. What's happening now is, people are essentially choosing for you whether you should be. It's like let's say you wanted to boycott Coca-Cola or Nike or something. Imagine if stores started taking Nike shoes out of the store.
I don't care. I honestly don't care. I would not care if every single shop in the world never stocked Nike ever again. If Nike's websites were no longer stored on any servers and I couldn't access them unless I bought like a Nike, server access thing that I could actually connect to a Nike server so I could buy some shoes. That Nike had developed their own payment program because no one would process their payments. I honestly wouldn't care because they are a company and, yeah, they're a company use, first of all, the company they use sweatshop labor, so, basically, yeah, but of course, they can change, and one of the things is like if they're indie, then you could argue, there's trouble financially, but if they're major, yeah, just use them. If you're making billions, yeah, take a little cut of your profits and actually use proper labor, and that isn't exploitation. That's hard to any labor. But you know the point. The point is, I honestly I would not care. I would not care if Coca-Cola, if Nike, and all these people, like every single person with even the tiniest bit of power, turn away from them. Even people who would actually lose from them. Employees burn down their factories in the middle of, when no one was working there. Although that's probably never, to be honest, because they probably got like mass production all the time. But that's my point. Like, I honestly wouldn't care if they're like that. That's just they're a massive company. Like why would you care?
Before you could even make the decision as a people to buy it or not buy it. And
But it doesn't matter. Just buy a different shoe. If they're saying shoes in general, maybe then, because it actually hurts you. But like, what does it matter if a particular musician no longer has access, or whatever the case may be, a particular shoe manufacturer, or whatever a particular network. Just, I don't care really about that. It's more about the fact, and this is my problem. This is wrong. I'm not saying his argument is wrong. I'm saying inherently that's a bad tack to take on the argument.
need to have the right and the option
But
at
do
our
companies
level.
not have that right too?
Yeah, I don't think that they're trying to make you not buy the product. I think that they're saying, as a company, we do not agree with this, so we're not going to.
Yeah. In fairness, they are right, yeah. Because you can always go off to the other company. If there is another company stocking it, go off there. Oh, it's more difficult for you? Yeah, so, like before I had a let's say a particular person viewing, and they commented on my video, and they gave an insight into, they gave it was a good insight. They made a comment, they fact checked my video, and was like, okay, that's good. I wasn't exactly sure, to be honest, if they were correct or not. Part of their fact check was complete BS, but not complete BS. It just wasn't accurate to me. But I'm not sure if they were factually accurate. But I was like, okay, to be sure, I'll remove that section of the video. I removed that section of the video, and I thought, okay, I'll come back to them. Oh, thanks for your thing. And then I clicked on the profile, and I let you know that they had their subscriptions public, which you need to generally set. And it turned out they were a Stephen Crowder fan, so I banned them, because I was just like, I'm not supporting that. I'm not supporting you if you're gonna go out and subscribe to people. As I said before, you feel like when you see like channels that I've subscribed to, you feel like, should I be subscribed to them if this is the way they act? If this is who they're supporting? I don't think I should. Obviously, if someone subscribes to a person I'm subscribed to and someone who I like, and they're also subscribed to some Nazi like Stephen Crowder, obviously I'm not going to say, oh, I should not subscribe to the person just because they have Nazi followers. No, but like, if someone is also a follower, if someone is a follower of a Nazi, why would I follow them? Why would I support them? You know? If I'm a company, why should I support that person who did that bad thing? The argument, of course, is, well, should companies have the power to make decisions over you? And I think it's when megacorps start to do this, and it's when megacorps say, we're not doing this. We're not letting this person operate at all. Then it's like, we're not
Not going to sell your product here. When record labels stop playing their music or whatever, I feel like it's justified, specifically for victims, because when it gets out that that person did something like that, their music skyrockets. And for the victim,
True.
seeing
To
that
see
they're
that.
getting
Yeah.
so much
Messed
support
up,
for that,
right?
and then once the
Especially when they're
cases
dead.
are
Yeah, it's fucked up.
over, then sure, you could play their music more if they are innocent. But it's also like the justice system isn't always right.
Honestly,
True.
I've said this before, like, I think the pendulum has swung the other direction, and like, yes, maybe it's getting a little string, but I also think sometimes that's necessary for change. For so long,
That's, I don't necessarily like that argument. The argument of, oh, well, you know, you got burnt because, well, we needed to catch everyone. I mean, it is an argument to be made, which is, you know, and as I said, I've said this before in many of my videos, which is like, it always is with the justice system. It's balancing getting all the guilty people and none of the innocent. But you can never get that because some of those innocent people will look guilty. Of course, the issue is, if an innocent person looks guilty and it's like a crime like, you know, murder or something like that, where it's not like, oh, are you involved along with this person? It's more, are you the person who did this thing? Then, of course, if you get an innocent person, then you'll also not get a guilty person. Then you should expand your net. So instead of arresting one person for a murder, you have to go, well, Your Honor, we don't really know who exactly it is. We know it's one of these 10 people. So all 10 have to go off and be in prison for 20 years for committing murder, or possibly more, I would say, you know, all these things. And that's just the point. It's always a balance. Do you arrest the maximum number in order to get all the guilty people, or the minimum number in order to get no innocent people? Always balancing that. So, you know, that is often the case with justice system. Of course, the justice system is racist in America and many countries as well. It's homophobic. It's all these things. It's very misogynistic, and this is, of course, is the problem. You know, so it's not just balancing. Sometimes they will just say, "Oh, we don't like you in particular, so you're, you know, if you're richer, you're a lot more likely to be presumed innocent. You're a lot more. There more evidence will be required to convict you. You know, all these things. So obviously, you know, it's not balanced for everyone anyway, even in the way it is imbalanced. But anyway.
so long we let everyone get away with everything,
Right.
and there was only one voice as part of the conversation,
Good
and it
old
was
boys
like
club.
right, and it was mostly like white men back in the day.
Yeah.
Versus now we have a platform where everyone can share their opinion. You're like, hey,
White rich men, actually, specifically. Interestingly speaking, and I will never understand why poor white men are so stupid. And it's really just like kind of amazing to me that they are this stupid. Like, you know, where effectively you have a situation which is like, but if you are that person, you will be fecked over too. You know, like if you're not rich, like back in the day, just a few years ago, well, a few hundred years ago, well, a few decades actually, basically not even a few hundred. You weren't allowed to vote if you didn't own property, you know. So if you were very poor, you weren't allowed to vote. It didn't matter if you were a white man, you know, you weren't allowed to vote. That was sort of the point. So if you're that poor white man, you know, well, surely don't you not like the fact that, you know, you're not allowed to vote? Isn't that a bad thing for you? So why do you support the rich white men who are against, you know, women, who are against people who aren't, who are against all this? Why do you support them? Because you too are pushed down. That's just my argument there.
hey, that makes me uncomfortable, and I think some people are going to have to be made examples of in order to set precedent in what's acceptable for us, our generation, in the society today.
I mean, I don't think necessarily just because you make it clear. People will always think, oh, well, I can get away with that. I can, you know, because that's the thing. We'll always think that, it's the thing. As I said earlier, for example, in England, Boris Johnson gave a person he knew was a sex pest the party whip position. Why would you ever do that? Why would you ever do that? You know, but that's a very powerful position to have over someone, and he knew he was sex pest. Not just he had been no, actually full on. You know, so if that's the case, you have to ask, well, that person clearly didn't think, oh, well, you got other people have been caught, other people have been removed. They went on because of that, well, they have the power. So, yeah. Just because you make examples of people doesn't mean you eradicate it. That's what I'm saying.
The public should hold celebrities accountable when the justice system fails.
I would agree with that.
Hey, friend.
Hey. R. Kelly is the first name that comes to mind because he has sex tapes that show his face, and people are still like, he didn't do it. We love R. Kelly. He would never. And most of the time, when it's a celebrity being convicted, they can always buy their way out.
That's exactly who came to
It's
mind.
not unless you buy the way out. It's because, first of all, judges will always be biased towards rich people. Not always, but they're almost definitely gonna be biased because that's the way the justice system is set up. And that's not necessarily the fault of the judges. That's just this idea of it's a conspiracy to say that people are put in positions of power because they agree with people who are already in power. That's just an honest way. If we had a system that was good, we would have people who are morally, people who are morally okay in positions of power would put people who are also morally okay in positions of power. They would ensure that you wouldn't have the wrong people in the position of power. We don't. We've got bad people in positions of power, and obviously, what are they going to do? They're going to put like-minded individuals below them. It always makes sense. This happens all the time. It happens in politics. People who support you get when you get the power to give people positions, you then you give the positions of power below you to people who support you. That's always going to be the case because that's natural in the human mind to do that, really. And this is the point. So it's not necessarily that you can buy a way out. It's that, actively speaking, a jury is always going to be biased for celebrity. You can never do that. Either they're going to be biased against them because there'll be people who dislike them, which is obviously not great, or they're going to be biased for them, in which case, that's not great either. So yeah. At the end of the day, I think, looking at it, it's like, yeah, you can't exactly do anything about that. It's always this issue of what do you do in that scenario. Judges are going to be biased, but so are juries. So, either someone's not going to get a fair trial and they shouldn't be convicted when they are, or they should be convicted when they aren't.
Mine for me too. Immediately, I was just like, ugh, like, first of all, how many times? Okay, join the
Yeah,
group.
what's up?
How many times in like the United States justice system have we seen guilty people get off innocent and then you find off years later that that happened? If the
Wait, what?
justice system doesn't
Right.
come get off innocent and then you find off years later that that happened. If
Yeah, but how many times in the justice system do you see people, get convicted, and they're guilty, considered guilty under the eyes of the law, but turns out they're innocent? That happens a lot, like a lot in America. Interestingly, it's typically down to racism. So it's generally not white people, which either might be, a higher requirement for white people, or more likely that judges are actively they'll do anything to convict someone who isn't white. That's probably the latter, because it's probably down to racism rather than favoritism, because it would be a bit weird if it was like actively favoritism, because it was like, oh well, that person is still a rapist. I don't exactly see how you can be favoritism towards them. But obviously, someone who isn't, you're more likely to be like, but they must be. You just have that sort of like, judges will have the internal racist thing, and so will juries. That's the whole point,
Justice system doesn't come through, we as a people shouldn't just take that and be like, okay, well, I guess he's innocent. Like, no, he did that, and let's take away his platform, and we will take that power away from him.
In fairness, when it comes to crimes, this is sort of my point. Like, you do know, right, celebrities. This always is an issue with celebrities. This sort of like, cancel. You have a position more than I do. I don't make money off of these videos, okay? I'm not saying I definitely could, but I'm saying it is a possibility that I could get a job that's alternative to this. Obviously, this is not a job. You know what I mean? Like, I'm saying is, if I was a mega YouTube celebrity raking in millions, also, if you're raking in millions, you can retire, already. So, that's one of the points. Most of these celebrities can retire anyway, so it doesn't really fucking matter if they lose all their support, I mean, what I'm saying is, like, what does it matter if celebrity who's worth like 10 million quid gets like cancelled and no one supports them and they make no money? Like, yeah, retire. No one likes you anymore. But it doesn't matter. You can live your life of luxury for fine, like, But also, let's say I was a YouTube celebrity and I was making, 60 grand a year, 90 grand a year off YouTube, right? Let's say that was the case. And then, let's say I said something that was really bad, or was considered really bad by people, and let's say called white people crackers, which but let's just say something like that, something bad, or was considered bad, and everyone unsubscribed, and no one was viewing my videos anymore, no one was viewing them at all, and I wasn't able to make any money. Maybe I got banned, something like that. My question would be, why not get a different job? Why not? Because you can almost certainly, if you're a celebrity, there'll be at least some hardcore fans out there. Because, there'll be some people, if you committed a crime, if you committed a horrible action, if you were a racist, there'll be some racist fans out there. There may even be some people who weren't fans of you before, but then because when the story went public, who now are fans of you because you said something racist. There'll be fans out there who are there now. You can ask them for a job. You can filter money from them. Obviously, it'll be significantly less of a fan base, but you can filter money off of them. You can get a job off of one of them. All these things. Or maybe, God forbid, you could come down to the rest of the world along with the rest of us and actually fight for jobs because our economy is structured in such a way that it means we are dependent on this. Maybe you could actually be, the ordinary, what the rest of us have to do. That's just my point. It's the same thing we like complain about, like, social media accounts being banned. It's like, just make another one. If you were a celebrity complaining about the fact that your social media account got banned, yeah, you're not being platformed. But guess what you can do? If you still like making YouTube videos and you're a YouTuber, make another YouTube account. Of course, you won't be able to have the popularity you did. You'll have possibly very few views. You might have views that are similar to mine. That might be your viewership. But you'll still have a YouTube account. YouTube won't just ban you because YouTube bans you if they're platforming you. If Facebook go ahead and ban you, okay, yeah, you know what? Just leave Facebook actually because they're not a great social media site. So probably best just to just accept that and just take that initiative and see that as a sign to leave. But anyway, but like for example, like let's say Instagram for example bans you. Yeah, you just create another account. The issue that celebrities have is that it's not that they're not allowed to have an account. It's the issue they were not allowed to have their following, because if they use like another source to get their fans to follow them and they clearly define themselves as that, then obviously they'll just probably might get banned again. Although they may not, that's the thing. So that's what you're complaining about though if you're a celebrity. You're complaining about your fan base being gone. I don't have a fan base of many people. Like if you want to check the subscriber count, it's less than 10 as of recording anyway. Who knows? Maybe I've exploded in popularity. Unlikely, but the point I'm making is that inherently, at the end of the day, this is the point. Like, you're losing your popularity, but that was a gift from the people. The people simply took back what they gave you because they no longer liked you. Whether that's good or bad, the point is when it comes to celebrity cancel culture, it's not a real thing because you're not being cancelled. You're just being brought down to the rest of us. You high and mighty,
The justice system is it's just so imperfect. It's unbelievable.
True.
And I think that situations like Jussie Smollett, I think that the justice system in those situations have failed. If we don't support the justice system
Yeah.
a little bit, then it's kind of anarchy. But at the same time, I think that it's an individual decision, as the individual has the right to kind of, not support them or, to do whatever they want to.
I mean, you do have people who are going to be racist, though, who are going to believe any accusation. You do have haters who are going to believe stuff. It's mostly fans, I would say, is the thing. But then you do have fans who will, as they've said, who will go, no, they're innocent, they're innocent, who won't believe it. So,
Want to
Yeah,
do,
like, I don't think we should like show up at his house and like beat him up.
Yeah, no, just nothing extreme.
Like,
Nothing
yeah.
extreme.
That'd be a crime, actually.
If the justice system fails, what's important and what's happening now is that we do look at replacing, whether it's the district attorney or whatever the system is that's causing it to fail. People should go and address this so the next millions of people that.
Yeah, but the thing is that you miss is that what attorney will you get someone who isn't qualified as a lawyer? Will you get someone who isn't qualified as a sister? Will you get someone who isn't in that industry, who didn't have people poison their mind? Will you, how are you able to test if someone is racist or not? What if they're hiding it? That sort of thing, someone didn't say the N-word publicly. Okay, that'll leave out a good few judges. They can't be in power, and a good few lawyers. Yeah, okay, but that still leaves quite a few racist lawyers and judges. That still leaves a justice system which is inherently flawed. It just rules out the more openly racist ones that are still in power. Keep in mind, they're still in power, but
People that go through that system go through a just system.
I think we all completely agree with that. Like, the justice system needs to be fixed. But I do think the reason cancel culture started and when it originally derived was because, like, to be 100% right, like, that takes so long. Like, for our entire government and justice system to, like, evolve into your idealistic view of it is not happening next.
Also, if you have a racist government, well, why would they reform a justice system to not be racist? In America, you do have a racist government. You just do. So do many countries. Most, so-called powerful Western countries have a highly racist government. England has one, has one in the Conservative Party. America has one in both the Republican and Democratic Party. So any countries, they're not like I'm not like Democrats aren't. I wouldn't call the Democrats fascists, but they're still racist.
Next year, where I
All
think
of
we're
them,
making change. I think it's happening, but I think our generation that spawned cancel culture was like, we don't have time.
Right.
We have the
Like,
same
have to
problems
fix
with
this
cancel
now.
culture as we do with the justice system. There's a lot of people that got the death penalty, right? We're giving people their
That were innocent.
careers the death penalty by.
The thing is, I would ask, when you're not talking about an average person, when you're not saying Timmy, who is earning minimum wage, get angry at him for not he wasn't being racist, he wasn't being homophobic, he wasn't being sexist, he wasn't being transphobic, he wasn't being biphobic, he wasn't being any of these things. He wasn't hating people. He wasn't, thinking, torturing little children was okay. No. Suddenly it was, If you're saying their life is ruined, they can't get a job. But this doesn't work with big celebrities. Because number one, that big celebrity can retire in the morning. Sure, they're not going to voluntarily because they can make millions upon millions by continuing to work. And they can live in life of luxury. Obviously, if they retire, they might have to live in a relatively simple life. But they can still live then to the end of the days, even if they're in like their 30s or 40s. Live till the end of their days in nice enough standard living, you know? So, it doesn't really work as that thing. You know, it doesn't really work for big celebrities because that's the thing. They can retire. And also, you know, how damaged are they really, you know? Like, if you see a celebrity drop from, you know, 60 million fans, or 100 million fans, or 200 million fans, down to a million. Okay, that's a massive drop, or 100,000, or 50,000, or 20,000. But the thing is, if they still have those fans are still paying them. Keep in mind, with a channel of 20,000 subscribers, you can still earn more than minimum wage. You know? So, if that person has got a massive career damage to them, what happens if the career is still intact though? The career is still a career, you know? It's no longer just like a part-time, it's not a part-time job, it's not, you know, no longer a career at all. If it's still a career, then I don't see where exactly is the problem in that, you know? Because they shouldn't be given millions in the first place, is my opinion. Why should they be given millions? You know? Why should those YouTubers on the top? Why should those artists on the top? Why should they be given millions upon millions upon millions? Why should that be the case? Why not instead take that money, cap it at like, you know, 2 million. Take all the extra money and give it to the struggling artists. Why not do that? Because in my opinion, they don't deserve millions in the first place. So if they lose them and still get to keep their position, number one, even if they did nothing bad, still, you know, they'll bring down the world, you know? Do you want like, if I was making, you know, comfortable, you know, if I was making €20 for every hour I put into this YouTube channel and all my other YouTube channels, if that was happening to me, I'd be delighted. I don't think I could complain if I went from getting €20,000 an hour for the work I put in to 20. Sure, it's down by 1,000 times, but it doesn't matter because when I was getting that 20,000, was I being overpaid? Yes, I was, and that is the point. Celebrities are way overpaid, many of them. So let's bring them down to the earth, you know? Let's bring them down to our level, proper level, what they deserve, because they certainly deserve the millions they're getting.
Public, you know, and kicking them out forever and saying we never want you back, right?
Are we? Because I've canceled the NFL since Colin
and what
Kaepernick,
if they're wrong?
and they're
You know what I
still
mean?
kicking
What if we're
strong.
But what if we're wrong?
Right.
If it was accountable culture, I'd
That's the point, though. It's not like cancel culture isn't. That's the whole point. It's not real in essence anyway. Because if someone still has popularity, then they're not being cancelled, are they? Yeah, you're being cancelled. You know, like the TV show that is still on the air and still has many say, "Oh fuck yeah." Yeah, like if that was what, like, imagine if you were, imagine if cancel culture was similar to, you know, canceling a TV show, and it was just like, oh yeah, you're cancelled. So we'll say only like 10 seasons. Actually, you know what? No, we'll say more than 10. We'll say 30 seasons and 52 episodes per season. There we are. See, that'll teach you. You got cancelled because you got slightly less. Or even significantly less. I don't see how that's being cancelled though. Like if it, you know, that's not what cancelled means.
be on that side. Cancel. When I cancel you, you don't exist. Deleted. Bye. Get out of here. No more money. We're done with them. Cancel.
We're just as imperfect as the justice system.
Yeah, but that's the point, though. This is what she's saying. I'm not sure if she if she doesn't understand her own point, or if the rest of them don't understand the point, because she is actually making the point there that I'm making, which is that that's not cancel culture. What's happening now? That's not cancel culture. Cancel culture is nothing. You know? Because if it was, then how exactly would those people still have money? You know? How would they still have any fans? How would they still be more popular than I am? I'm not cribbing about the fact that I felt my popularity out though. I'm just saying like inherently, I'm saying this: if you're more popular than I am, you clearly have not been cancelled.
But R. Kelly, bye. I'm done with you. Get out of here. Like,
But that's in your opinion. I'm
Yeah.
not saying I'm
Yeah.
for R.
I hope to God you're not.
Kelly, but I still don't want all his music erased. Like all of a sudden, it's like he's guilty before a court of law. Even people I don't support, I still want.
Yeah, but the thing is, right, and this is my point. If R. Kelly was not to go to prison, or was to just lose all his royalties, I wouldn't honestly care, because they have enough money, or had, you know, to satisfy their entire life. So, what does it matter? Because under a justice system, you generally go to prison, or face fines, or have to do community service, or possibly even get executed. So, with the exception of the fines, I don't really see how cancel culture is doing any of that before the justice system. The justice system is the final thing where it's like, no, you don't just lose a significant chunk of your income. You now have to go to prison on top of that. That is the difference. Okay? If someone is found to have murdered someone, oh really? They lost oh really that everyone abandoned them. Oh, they got cancelled. Yeah, and then the justice system about like 10 years later convicted them of murder, and they were electrocuted in the electric chair. Oh, I think the justice system did something a lot worse to them, to be honest. Did they deserve it? I wouldn't say they deserve it for murder, but the point is that's what the justice system did. So obviously, cancel culture is not the same as justice system. It's not stepping in before the justice system. So
I want them to go to the justice system because fairness matters.
That's not about fairness, though. Okay. If I got cancelled in the same way celebrities got cancelled, what does that matter? If I got cancelled the same way some celebrities have so-called been cancelled, it would mean an increase in my income by thousands. Tens of thousands. This is the point. Even celebrities can admit this. Even right-wing ones, far-right ones can admit this. That they actually like being cancelled. Because every time they get so-called cancelled, you know what that does? That gets all the people, all those people who are like this woman to go to them and say, oh no, poor you. And then they get an increase. They get an increase in their fan base. The number of people who've been so-called cancelled multiple times, and people like this who are against cancel culture, who come over to them and support them because they say they are being cancelled, is enormous. They gain from it most times. Obviously not major celebrities, because at that point, you've got fascists and you've also got, communists in your boat. So,
We've already been through this throughout history.
I just think if you support him, you're a dick, right?
Yeah. I mean,
And then it's their right to be a dick.
But it's their right.
I wouldn't use that word. I think it's more than that. Like,
Right to be
And
a
it's
dick,
our right
yeah.
to hate them.
And it's
for
our
being a
right
That's right.
not
That's
to
First
buy
Amendment.
from them.
Right.
Cancel culture, it runs, I would say, codependently with activism. And as activism has changed, we're able to operate quicker and mobilize quicker in this digital space. It's almost, in some senses, it's like,
I mean, if people are actually doing stuff, if they're not celebrities, if they're like just people who are in the public eye, they don't get cancelled. Like, if a political leader, if everyone's angry at a political leader, oftentimes They don't get cancelled. You know, they don't get removed. They don't lose all the money they made. That doesn't happen. They don't even get cancelled in the celebrity sense.
Like digital activism. But I like compassionate cancel culture. If you look at the history of somebody and you look at how somebody responds when confronted, and you make your decision based off of whether they've seen any type of error and applied any type of value judgment.
I mean, that seems fair enough. I mean, people will pretend to be sorry and then just do the same thing. So you do need to keep an eye on them. I've argued before for introduction of police lists where it's not a criminal conviction. It's not like, oh, this is on your criminal record. It's just a record for the police to have, just to say, when you were, 15, you did this kind of creepy thing. And it just means that if sometime it happens that the police go, oh, what's this going on? There's someone's accused you of rape. Oh, I mean, you do have a history of this kind of creepy behavior. Like that wasn't criminal. That wasn't a criminal accusation, but that was a definite proof that you were doing something creepy, and that behavior matches up with this, and that makes it look better. Because that is far better than just have a system of like, because people will write against people. You will have haters. You will have people who are hated by other people, and this is the whole point. Celebrities are not cancelled because they don't count, because they are biased, because they have fans. If fans turn away from you, that's not you being cancelled. That's you being brought down to our level, the level of an ordinary person. It is cancellation when people who didn't know you or didn't care about you then become haters. And there were no fans. There's nobody who liked you because you're not a celebrity. You're a private person, That's your cancel culture, not your celebrities. Celebrities aren't being cancelled.
Then I think it's totally your right whether or not to support them. Because we
I
have
like
too
that,
many
the
options.
compassion. I like the compassion.
And I love that you said it's your right.
I just think what's most important about anything is that if you're going to stop listening to someone, stop supporting someone, do your research and make the moral decision for yourself.
I mean, I was talking about that comedian who was paid by, I'm not sure if they were paid by Qatar or FIFA, but why are they paid by Qatar or FIFA? They had, the World Cup, hashtag World Cup, and then they had hashtag ad. So presumably they were paid by the World Cup. But who knows? Maybe they're paid by the content of the actual video. Maybe it was just the fact that the other content, maybe the World Cup was part of the other content. And it just so happened, that the base around the story was the thing they were sponsored by. I don't know. But, it's possible. It's unlikely, but it's possible. To do research is always a very dodgy decision because, but are you just going to take the person's word for it then? Is that what you're going to do?
Of whether you want to support them or not. And that's all you can do as an individual. It's an individual decision.
We all kind of have the same opinion on a level. For the most part, we think that people deserve consequences, but I feel like we think it to more of an extreme. Awesome.
Good talk. Good.
The way I see it is they're both wrong because they both seem to think cancel culture is kind of a real thing, but it's not.
Good talking to you, man. Hey.
They misunderstand really that at the end of the day, the justice system is really the only viable route for someone to be truly punished. Because unless you do a mob, which is not a good idea at all, then what are they being cancelled? Interestingly, what has happened to some people is that there was one thing, for example, they were in a car and they were driving through a community and they were pulled out of the vehicle and thrown off a building. Now that was not good. Obviously, they didn't deserve that. But the point was, that was the community thinking, we're gonna cancel you, or we're gonna cancel you in more of a permanent way. That was the point. That was the point. they didn't just say, we're not going to support you. They said, we're going to kill you. That's what they said.
I learned so much from you guys. This is great.
Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. A lot of times middle ground is very tense, but we love bringing people together to have healthy dialogue
I mean,
nonetheless.
Yeah, and also we're very active on social media, so make sure to follow us on Instagram at Jubilee Media.
We're also thinking of completely revamping Middle Ground. So if you have cool ideas of like what we can do next or like anything like that, leave a comment, DM us. As always, we'll see you guys next time.
well, yeah, I mean, that was Jubilee's video. Their link should be in the description. I don't necessarily agree. I think it's best if you're going to platform both sides. Probably best to keep your own views out because, you know, it always kind of feels a bit dodgy when people are in that way. It's like, well, that seems like a conflict of interest there. But yeah, so I am subscribed. One of the things I would say is, if Jubilee is subscribed to somebody publicly that is like a fascist or someone who isn't very nice, do I unsubscribe from them? I would say maybe. I have considered, certain people I've reacted to, so I have subscribed to them because I've said, well, I'm going to put them in my subscription area because, I should surely. And that's the thing, there. But yeah. Who knows? But yeah, basically, what can you say? So yeah, all those links should be in the description. And I guess, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.